Dear 1195 Burns Avenue, alternate title, House Sitting on Valentine's Day. I'm eating the hearts out of your Star Wars Lucky Charms. This morning I fed the rabbits, reached my arm inside their hay-bottomed house, tapped the snout of the yellow dog. In your tiled tub, I exfoliated the shit out of my thighs, read others' love letters in the master bed. I submit to this. Remember last winter when I pressed a carpenter to your kitchen sink? Let's comfort each other like red tea or abstract mothers. Lull ourselves to sleep in your yawned fist. Hi. So unlike Erin, I really like to talk, but I was worried that I would spend all of my time talking, so I stole that move from Michael Kleber-Diggs. Thanks, MKD. Just trying to not talk too much. Anyway, okay, I'm going to read one more deer poem. This is called Dear Minnetonka Lake. Minnesotans, I know that's making you uncomfortable, but just bear with me. When we met, I was nauseous. The night before, I'd gotten messy. Kissed a redheaded chef, lost myself downtown, dropped 2 baguettes from the back of my bike. I inverted your name. It brought us closer, don't you think? The way misunderstandings might. People tell rumors about you. They say you're spread with pondweed, obscure invasive species. One winter in a college cafeteria, I ate cheeseburger chowder. What would you like to confess? The soup tasted delicious. Aren't we all polluted by something? In your waters, I discovered colors of purity, deep-hued reflections of matter, minerals, and sky, barely blushing. Thanks. Thanks y'all for being here. This is like, I haven't felt this much love in a really long time. It feels really wonderful. I didn't mean it like that. I don't know how to translate that. Community love. Thank you, Sarah. Okay. Different kinds. Whew, moving on. Okay, so I don't like titles, or I struggle to come up with them. So in this poem, the first line is also the title. So I'm just going to read right into it. In the morning, I write letters to my unborn sister. It sounds sad, but she was never more than a thought my mother grew up nursing, like a pillow buried beneath dirt or an ancient set of undiscovered jaws. In some sprays of 7 a.m. light, I hear women more lives than miles apart. Once in a New England summer, my mother made me a map. It didn't have any sounds, just hues and schools and districts with names butchered from the French. She reached her arm, pink and freckled with temperature, into the back seat, marked an X at the center of my mouth. Here, she said, find your way out. This is an aubade, which is a poem that greets the dawn. I wrote a bunch of them, and then I kind of got over it, so I'm just going to read one. Like when I envisioned this night 6 months ago, I was like, oh, I'm just going to read a bunch of aubades, but things change. Anyway, so this is aubade as letter from the guest house in Maiden Rock, Wisconsin. She wakes unable to see the lake, snared by chronic need for water, for texture, for more languid chambers or other alluvial breaths. Morning October sky hangs glaucous. Bird voices ricochet anonymous circumstance. Their songs plangent, or maybe it's only her grim psychic hatch. Another gossamer conundrum, disembodied from Rush River Delta, from her phantasmal shore. I feel guilty when you clap every time. I don't want you to feel obligated. It's a lot. It's a lot. I feel like it's a lot to ask. Okay. You guys are really sweet. All right. So this is called Ars Poetica, which is a thing I keep forgetting to Google just to refresh myself exactly what it means. But I think it's basically like a purpose statement for writing poetry, like why you write poetry. And I'm using it a little whimsically here. Ars Poetica. Today we woke remembering oceans, how they misspelled our names in Greek. I can't prove that the fish turned upright and became a man, but truth isn't an economy of imagination. One danger of days is their way of coiling in on themselves. At an east entrance to the Northdale Mall, I forgot the right side of the road. Always something peculiar relating to a hawk. In other versions of my story, you play larger and lesser parts. Inside any dream lies a scorched version of lost sleep. From the desk of a downtown classroom, the stadium became a mountain, the light rail a river I've never been on. Elegy for summer, love. September has started and they've finally drained the swimming pool in Powderhorn Park. Did you hear the fade of northern lights? Dream anemones that waved like beds? This morning I jogged the wet sidewalk, inventoried yesterday's meals beside today's loose ambitions. On my coffee table, I keep a book with names of trees in Minnesota. By winter, I will memorize them and feel whole. I wrote you a metaphor. It's for northbound traffic, but you'll only understand it when you're walking west. All the constellations. When I began to build your memory, all the similes poured down like mice. They wore tiny hats and drove miniaturized cars all along the margins of clay-tapered roads. Things grew quiet inside. We made gilded promises and called them time. So at some point I heard someone, really concrete, a poet say that they couldn't write about new love, and when I heard it, I was like, oh, that makes sense. You know, new love, it's like really perfect and blissful, and there's no tension. What could you possibly write about it? And then in December, I fell in love in a very abrupt and wonderful way, and remembered that as wonderful as it is, there's also a lot of like anxiety and kind of terror around it. So this is called Ode to the Anxiety of New Love. I only opened my heart on Wednesday, but already the elevation of fear I feel as cars in adjacent lanes speed past my cab on the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway. Most minutes I resist that arced, gory swamp of considering my own death, but the price of life has heightened, so I walk uptown. Now it's tomorrow, 10:20 p.m., 3 days before the solstice. I acquire new vision to pluck from sogged streets all the sweet flavors of care. An elderly pair in earmuffs arm in arm across from another Madison Avenue bank. The family of 4 who ease each other onto the curb, unsteady with wet, and the man who approaches his friend, slumped against the diner's bottom edge. How he holds a white paper plate in his hand and poises it like rescue. Eat it, please, I hear him say. Just eat it. Just a few more. So what that. I fell in love right before I went home to New York, or not home, I live here, where I'm from, to visit my family. My parents are here from New York. Hey, I know. So this is another poem that came from that visit. I had have a relative who had just died, and she was a very prolific artist. And I went to, so we were all kind of marching through her apartment to collect her things, which was surreal. And there was a lot that was surreal about it. So anyway, I just want to tell you, it's called 10 True Thoughts About Skylines. Several people discouraged me from reading it because it's sort of visual, but I'm being stubborn. But just so you know, the sentences alternate. So there's like a sentence that's about this experience of visiting her, and then a sentence that's sort of an observation about skylines. Okay. People still live in the apartment building where my grandmother has died. How they are like bodies in their casual containment of infinite angles. The short doorman's name is Chris, and he loves to talk clipped with anonymous women. How their dull palate acts deceptive, at once alike and opposite from Earth. I stare at myself in hallway mirrors as if things might change. Could they suggest both the ease and impossibility of witnessing? The neighbor ignores me as she enters and triple locks her door. Such severed projections of sky, what crude archival implications. Men down the street keep making entrances and exits for 2nd Avenue's new subway. All the jagged geometric spaces climb like beloveds, build slim panels of light. This isn't a love poem because within the thick of my 34th year, I'm still unclear, so I march through the evening in the tender quiet that follows the light snow and know I should protect my bones, my heart, my toes, but I'm so prone to benign harm, and I could still breathe the last time I sank, or maybe it was only clumps of vermilion seeds, barely visible beneath jumbled gutters of winter. Memories from autumn surface faint shapes along gray-white streets. Still I see myself a perpendicular shadow in your symmetrical history, a scheme once developed from person, place, and flame. I draw small stories, blast melted ideas built from beyond the penitentiary of one. Last one, this is called Dear Powderhorn Park, November 9th, 2016, so the day after the election. Sorry. I know, didn't want to go there. And then it's done. I wake to the scream of the white screen. The bad man is in, and sudden collapse, sensation of hollow rushes from the red rug, so I run toward you. Not for meaning or comfort, but hope for a shared glint of morning, some shape that might make a comrade for something like shame, but on 10th Avenue South, it's the same silent arcade of parked cars, the same dull squares of pockmarked cement, their crude networks of crevices that roam slow as veins, your same drowsy catalpa leaves piled atop in loads, their clear absence of care, and the same low system of sound, quiet conversations between engines and streets, the same insistent speech among obscure birds, the same retro fire hydrant bereft of alarm, and the same slope of sad grass, punctured with sandboxes, spruce and elm, the same dim stillness hovered above your softball field as I hear my feet squeak, still beneath me, still beside you. Thank you. I just want to say a quick thank you to Sherry, who's like the most amazing mama bear, and all of my Mentor Series cohort. It's just like, I mean, I started weeping on the street when Sherry called me to tell me that I got the Mentor Series because I wanted it so badly, and it's just been a really remarkable community, and it feels like such a remarkable privilege to have this opportunity. So thank you so much for being here.